Okay, so I'd like to get started. While I'm just doing the short introduction, if you have got your own devices here and you're connected to the internet, that might be quite useful. We're going to attempt some tools today. Hi, come in. Yeah, but there's not much space, so if you could just stand there. Right. So yeah, this is the title of my workshop. Are you choosing the right digital tool for your classroom? Basically, before we start, I'd like to just tell you quickly who I am. Yeah, my name is McDonnell-de Graff. I'm an English person. Yeah, I'm English, but I moved to Holland about 15 years ago. And I'm actually a secondary school teacher in the Netherlands, in Schagen. They're so impressed that they're now international. Because Schagen is like a little small Dutch town, little farming town in the north of Holland. Basically what I do is, yeah, like I say, I'm a secondary school teacher, but I also play quite a big role in the school itself. I help to coach and train new teachers, established teachers who are finding things difficult, and also student teachers come and do placements in my classroom as well. I also won the scholarship for the One-Stop English, creativity in the classroom. I did write the essay as a way of winding down the year for the summer holidays. So the summer holidays came and it was like everything stopped, and I thought, wow. And I saw this scholarship about writing an essay about how to overcome problems in the classroom, the problems you faced, and how you used ICT to help you overcome these problems. And I wrote an essay on that, and that actually won. So that's why I'm here, thanks to One-Stop English. Yeah, that's about enough of me. So the plan for today's workshop, I'm going to do a little introduction. We're going to attempt to do a warming up activity using answer garden. I think before we do that, what I would like to say is, when you use an IT in the classroom, you have to think about the activity that you're doing and whether it's high risk or not. This is off the scale for a high risk activity that's going to go wrong. I'm expecting it not to work, okay? But I think this is important. I think this is what teachers have to realise, is that when you're trying out something, you have to analyse the situation. You have to think about, is this a high risk group or not? The reason you guys are a high risk group is that first of all, I don't know you. Secondly, I don't know what the internet is like here. Thirdly, I don't know if you've got any devices on you and what type of devices. So my criteria for this workshop is that I've chosen quite low threshold activities that are quite simple to use. But I'm expecting it to go wrong, so I have low expectations, which actually is very useful because that keeps the frustration levels down in the classroom and also keeps my frustration levels down in the classroom. And I think what happens is a lot of teachers go in with see these amazing tools and think, oh yes, I'm going to have give the best lesson in the world, and then things start to go wrong. And everyone gets stressed, and then the teacher loses control, and then the classroom becomes a complete sort of minefield, and then they think, no, I'm never going to use it again. So I think one of the first things, that's not on my criteria, but I thought about that when I was preparing this workshop, because I thought, actually, you've really got to assess the situation and think, is it going to be a high-risk activity or not? Okay? So yeah, we're going to try and do a warming up activity, then I want to discuss my criteria quickly, and then I also want you to do an activity again using another tool called Padlet. Okay? Are there any questions about what we're doing? No? So far, so good? Yeah. Not talking too quickly, because I have the tendency to...
That's all right.
Okay, I'll breathe and then I calm down. Okay, so this is my life. This is how I feel as a teacher. I get all of this information and ideas, and people are saying, come and use me, or I go to workshops or training courses and I find it. And I started to feel quite sort of, inundated, quite stressed about it, thinking, what can I use? It was just that old cliche of too much choice, basically. So I started to think, yeah, how am I going to get through this? How am I going to choose which tools? So, do you know these tools? Have you seen yeah? A lot of them are quite famous, I think. Okay, what I would like you to do first, this is one we're going to try, is if you've got your device, I would like you to type this in. Well, you don't have to do the HTTPS or the HTTPS. You just do the ch 280280 and then if it works, you will see this. Answer garden. So everybody got it? Do you want to go back?
2002, 08, 28, 28, 02, 08, 28,
Oh yeah, that's fine. So, I was thinking the first day, if I did this on Friday, probably everybody would be connected. Okay, so is how many? Can you just show of hands who's on there at the minute? Good. Okay. What I'd like you to do is just to brainstorm digital tools. So what you think about digital when I say the word digital tools, okay? And you can just type it in and enter, and you can do it as many times as you want to.
What we mean, what we mean by digitals, or what digitals we mean?
Anything.
Anything.
It's anything.
Anything.
Anything. Yeah. I like the unknown. Sorry?
I was typing, I didn't hear the task.
Yeah, you just need to brainstorm digital tools. So any tools you know, anything what you think about it. Also, if you're on there, I would also like you to tell me your job title as well. So type in your job title. So if you're a teacher, is it not loading? Yeah, I think this is if everybody's using it. Is it somebody else online? Otherwise, maybe you could use. Yeah, that's the idea. It's like a Twitter sort of thing.
Oh.
Yeah.
What is it?
It's almost like Twitter. You have you can't write essays on it. You have to write it as words or phrasal.
More than one answer.
You can do more than one answer. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, there's a limit.
Yeah.
It's like Twitter.
Yeah, it's a bit like Twitter. That's how
And
you.
the question is?
I can't be
I think that
Digital tools. Yeah. What? Just brainstorm digital tools. What you know about it. And then if you can type your job title in as well. These of the world.
Awesome.
Okay, so. Is everybody rounded off now? If you haven't been able to do it, what I would do in the classroom is I would get people into groups and let them use each other's devices if things like this happen. But for the time we're going to have to move on. Okay, so basically what I like about this is I can see that there are a lot of people from teacher higher education. A lot of people have written digital tools as the brainstorm digital tools, which is quite interesting. Anonymity is good, interaction. Yeah, so it's, yeah, this is something I use with my students quite a lot to get a good overview of using what they know about a subject. So I'll show you some examples in a moment, okay? So, let's go. So yeah, so basically my criteria, the reason why you're here. The first thing is I choose things that stimulate interaction, okay? Basically I think this is the most important thing. Some people put on there about anonymity. I think that's incredibly important because what I notice in a classroom environment is that certain people dominate the environment, especially with people who feel confident in English will try and get a lot of my time and attention. And what I think here is important is that it stimulates the interaction between the students and me. So I will see the person at the back, the quiet one at the back. I know what they have said. Also, not just between us, but also between the students themselves. So I actually look for things that actually increases interaction. The reason I do that is because a lot of people are a bit wary of using technology in the classroom, and they have this idea that students just end up sitting behind a laptop and nobody talks and to each other, and they're all just engaged with the device and not with each other. So that's the first thing that I choose. Secondly, it's got to do something I can't. Okay, so what I like about Answer Garden is basically, it's like, obviously I could have done a normal brainstorm. I could have got a pen and a paper and wrote that on the board. There's nothing. It's a perfectly good warming up activity. But what I like about Answer Garden is that it analyses it groups the answers together. So I can't do that as quickly. And this is immediate. So I'll show you one that I did with my students. These are 14, 15-year-olds. If you notice by this, the question was song titles with love in them. So these were all the answers they got. One of the things that I realised is that there were a lot of Justin Bieber fans in my group. So you know it's straight away, you can see exactly what they do. But basically the reason I've shown you this one is because you can see very quickly what are the most prominent or dominant answers in the group at the moment. So I think that's that is a reason why I would use Answer Garden. Okay?
Does it group the answers, or do the answers simply have to be exactly the same?
Yeah, that is if I were a person to develop a tool, I would try and do something where words that have got the same sort of
connotation.
Yeah, exactly. So like, for example, if you've got something like, say someone spells love wrong, then it puts that into a different thing. And then if you've got teaching, like what we did now, you'd have teaching, teacher, and they would be two separate answers. And what I would do is actually put them all together because it's the same sort of word. So that's an example of what my students do there. What I also think is really important is that it allows variation in skill and content. Okay, I've got some pictures here. YouTube is not, it's not like an application or anything, but YouTube is a very useful tool in my class. I use it as warming up films. I also I've got this picture, Eva Apeldoorn. That is a Dutch insurance company that make brilliant little short adverts that have nobody's talking in them, and they have really funny things. And basically I use these films to stimulate conversations, and what I'll do is I'll let half of the group go outside and the other half sit and watch it, and then they have to tell each other about what they're doing or what they've seen. So I think and what I like about that is that they can do it in their own. I'm not telling them which words they need to use, they can use what's in their head themselves. Also, if they don't know a word, they have to use strategies to explain what they're trying to say. What I also think is useful with this is that I also do it with writing. So I let them watch something and then I get them to write what they've seen. So the John Lewis Christmas advert I let them watch at Christmas time, and then I got them to use the past continuous and the past simple, and they explained what they saw that way.
What class is that?
Third year, so sort of like A2, B1 level. Yeah, about 15. Video. Yeah, but I have done things with lower levels, and then I just that you can still say write what you see, but you just keep open-ended tasks. So I think that's the important thing there. Also, One Stop English. Do a little plug. Live from London. This is really good. They do authentic interviews, and I think that's really important, especially with coming from Holland. Everybody really I have a lot of English has quite a high sort of standard. People are very interested in English, but unfortunately a lot of students have this idea that we all speak like the Queen, and they've had experiences when they've gone to England and they haven't been able to understand what people are saying to them. So I try and use authentic language as often as possible. And this is a really good, these interviews were really good because it was like, proper, proper English people just talking. And I just thought that was really useful. Okay, so that's why I use technology to allow the variation. Also enables peer assessment. I think this is really important. I do things with Google Drive. They put documents on Google Drive. WeTransfer is also brilliant. It's free, first of all. And WeTransfer is you can make films. You can film yourself or record yourself. It doesn't necessarily have to be a film. It can also be just an ordinary, just speaking. And they send it to each other, and then they give each other feedback. We do that with write-in tasks as well. Also, I give them feedback in the Google documents are really good because you can give suggestions without actually changing their work. So you can correct it, but if they wanted to go back and have a look at what they'd actually written, you see what I've changed, but they can also get the previous document before I changed it, and then they can compare it. So yeah, I think that's a really good thing as well. So I always try and find tools that stimulate this basically, that they can show each other their work and then they can comment on each other's work.
I'm sorry, could you just go back? Did you say that WeDrive was that you could record yourself and then transfer it?
WeTransfer is a way of sending the document. So you have to record it on your telephone or whatever, but then you can send that video with WeTransfer. WeTransfer doesn't have a limit.
Yeah, WeTransfer usually uses academic papers. I didn't know you could transfer videos.
Yeah, you can transfer videos and photos and stuff. It's quite.
Very good.
It's really good because I've noticed when we use Google, we've got the Drive, and the Drive just cuts. You can't send video. There's not enough memory. Yeah, WeTransfer is a good one. I'm not sponsored by any of these, but just,
can I ask one more question about sending films through WeTransfer? Once the person sees it, can they annotate it? Can they make comments? And can they transfer the file back, or is it just a transfer system?
Just a transfer system.
Just a transfer system.
Gives them a link that lasts.
Yeah, the link interactive.
2 weeks.
Yeah, then I would use it. What I would do in the classroom is use the Google Documents to give feedback.
Okay.
And then they share that with me as well, so I can see exactly who's written what. And say, for example, to talk about the safety idea, these risk groups, what's really good is I can always go back in time with Google Documents. So say if someone has written something that's not very nice, I can actually go back and retrieve it. And even if they got rid of it, I could find out who did it.
Okay.
I have the power. So I think it's really, but it's really useful. This anonymity, on the one hand, can be a really good thing, but on the other hand, you need to make your students feel safe. And, so that's what I do with that one. Also stimulates creativity and depth. I use Kahoot here, and I allow the students to create their own games. I have used Kahoot in the past where I've created the games, but actually what I think is really good with Kahoot is that the students can design their own questions. And what I'm talking about creativity here is not making a nice poster, but actually being creative with the language and working out for themselves, why is this a correct sentence? Why is this not a correct sentence? What happens in real life is that sometimes we get questions that don't make any sense. So when we're playing it with the class, everyone's like clicked two different answers, and then everyone's like, huh? That's not right, and then we're like stop and go, okay, why isn't it right? What's going on? So we analyse each other's work with that. So I think that's what I mean by creativity and depth, is that they're thinking about language in a different way and not just learning for the test, but they're actually trying to create their own.
Do you then pick one of the students' quizzes, or do you have them work on one quiz simultaneously?
Yeah, what we do is they're allowed to write 3 questions each. So I make them they go in groups.
Yeah.
And then they make it in their groups, and then we play. So normally I'll have like five or six groups, and then we play 6 of those things.
Okay. What I've seen with this is the class was divided into groups of 3.
Yeah.
And this was to incorporate CLIL into the classroom. Each group were allowed to choose an area or a subject, and they had to write the quiz for it.
Yeah.
And then week on week, every week one group would have their quiz as the
Ah,
Kahoot.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
what it meant is, although when you go through the quiz, you have the problems about language and so on, correct it.
Yeah.
The focus wasn't on the language. The focus was on the fun of the quiz and actually finding out the answers.
Yeah.
So it sort of did learning through language rather than language through learning.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and yeah, I just think this is it also brings the fun element back into the classroom, especially with grammar, especially with conditionals. God, trying to sell that to 16-year-olds is a difficult task sometimes. Okay, also stimulates autonomy. I'm still working on this, so I haven't got all the answers for this at the minute. What I do, or what I'm trying to do at the minute, I'm discovering this blended learning. I'm definitely not I'm incredibly pragmatic, so I change everything I've told you today. I might change next week. I respond to the environment that I'm teaching in, and at the minute what I'm trying to do is work out how much I can put online or for the students. Planning and reflecting is something I really like the reflections, but what I worry about with reflection at the moment is it's such a buzzword that if I mention the word logbook to a student, I might as well swear at them. They hate reflection, which is really silly because I actually reflect all the time. But so I'm trying to get creative ways of doing that. How to reflect. More creatively. I do Google Forms for my own sort of evaluations of my lessons. Send them to do you know Google Forms?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's something that you can send to every student, and you can
Sketch.
Sketch.
You know Sketch?
No.
Sketch is a good program for this, an application.
Okay.
ITCH.
SKTCH.
It's great for sharing
Brilliant.
information, sharing stuff, students talking about it, creating autonomy and reflection.
Oh, great! I've got some homework now, brilliant.
I think they're discontinuing Sketch in the
Oh.
next month or so.
Oh.
It's Evernote, isn't it? But if you're looking for an app which is the most similar, there's one called Annotate, which has like a yellow background with an A written in white on it.
I didn't know
Annotate, yeah, Sketch, yeah, they're getting rid of that, unfortunately.
Annotate.
Okay, brilliant. These things I would like you to keep as well for the end, because one of my the last activity is about this as well. Okay, so yeah, stimulating autonomy, and then also gimmicky. It can just use a gadget because it's gimmicky. I used Graffiti Creator once, and also Yoki, the ones where they make their own avatars, and you can use them once, but. Yeah, they often have a wow factor. What I've also done is I put Kahoot there. Kahoot's the same. When we first did things in our school about Kahoot, within a week, every single teacher was using Kahoot in their lessons, and all of the students were like, oh God. So, just be aware of when you're using the tools and why you're using them. So it's fine to do, a gimmick, and use it but be aware that it's not going to have a long shelf life.
Can I just ask about Yoki? I've just Googled Yoki.
Yeah.
And
Folky, sorry.
Folky,
Folky, I said Yoki.
Yoki doesn't. I was getting a Brazilian company.
Yeah, Folky, sorry, but the. Sorry,
Sorry, but that's not a free app. I mean,
You can't do. Yes,
you
it
pay
is.
for it now.
No, but they've got the classroom versions, but there's still a free. There is a version that's a free one, and what you do with that is basically it has limited avatars.
Yes, it does.
So that's it. But like I say, that I use that as for an introduction lesson or something, so they can tell me about with the lower levels that they introduce themselves. That they and of course, some of students spend like 90% of the time making their avatar and then 10% writing their English very quickly. But I just like I say, these things are gimmicks, and but it's fine to use them as long as you're aware of it. So what my conclusion is, it's not really important which tool you use, but it's to do with that awareness of how you're going to use it and why. So the how, like Kahoot, I use that for the creating their own quizzes. And the why, again, it's all to do with, what are you going to, yeah, why are you going to use it? So for like, you assess the situation, a high risk group, is it a group that you're comfortable with, that can have an influence on which tool you use, and then also the, yeah, what you want to achieve in the lesson with the students. That's basically it. Okay, so that was my criteria. I would like to try and do it, because people started to do it. What I noticed with like conferences is that you get a lot of people talking, but then like in this room we've got a lot of people who are interested in this, who've got different experiences, and I would really like to try and get all those experiences digitally on one platform, and that's Padlet. Do you know Padlet?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like Padlet because it's in real time and you can see it happening. So what I would like you to do is, if it's not the easiest link to type over, I'll give you 10 minutes to type that one over.
A nice step would be to QR code it, and then we just scan and go straight to the link you want us to, you know, instead of typing. Yeah.
That's brilliant.
But also, when you're logged in, if you click on the gear, the cog icon on the right-hand side, you can click on address, and you can change the letters and numbers to a customised keyword.
Yes.
Ah, okay.
Which is another way
Which
of
is
doing
easier, yeah. Yeah, but what I do with my students is normally because we use the drive, I give them the links in the drive, so then we never have to take them over. That's really good for if I use. So you can customize the address. And also that, yeah, I haven't used that Q. What's it called? Q?
Our code reader. Or creator, yeah. First for us,
Yeah, you need the creator and then the reader to read it.
The easiest reader is I-Enigma.
Mm-hmm.
It works better than I-Enigma, like Enigma.
Oh.
It goes wrong less on more devices. It works across, whereas there are always issues with it.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Enigma, isn't it?
Enigma.
Well, if you can get onto Padlet and then put all these links onto Padlet, if you don't like typing, you can also do it on paper and then take a photo of what you've written down and then post that on Padlet as well. Is that water? Yeah, Brandon.
Yeah, I was just sharing it.
Where are you on? Yeah, should be. Click that. Yeah, yeah, it is the right one. So. Yeah, Quizlet is also.
I was wondering.
And then, like I say, if there's some people already logged in and they're finished, maybe they could give the device to someone else and then they can like.
Could you just go back to the puzzle a second?
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
You see you've got the export option halfway up, the arrow. You click on that
This one. Yeah.
and go down, scroll down to the bottom. There's a QR code there, which is
Oh.
not very big, but if you were to copy that and make it bigger,
Yes.
it would
Can I just copy that then?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no, then I'll
be,
have to come out of my.
and then paste it in and then just make it bigger. Yeah.
Oh, this is cool. Put that up there for a minute.
There you go, and then just make it bigger.
Yeah, and then do it like that.
There you go.
Ah, brilliant. But this is what I love about IT, is that you can apply it straight away. Because my students do this as well. My students just tell me things and I go, oh, can we not try this? Or, does it work?
Sorry, you need to flip it.
So you get your students running through the room now.
Yeah. Yeah, but sometimes they come and get my laptop and I'm like, oh yeah, you just need to go to...
Enigma.
How did you get on the internet?
Do I need mine like as well? No, it's only the scanner.
We're using that one then first.
Try this one.
What's the app? So that's what we use.
Cheers.
And you can always copy it from there and sign it. So there's a sign you make, you just copy it.
Yeah, socks, yes.
Sorry? Oh, carry on. I typed that in. I think I put plus. See, 7, and then it should come out. The other one I wrote it. Oh. That's a different wall. Imagine.
Just a couple more minutes. See if you want to try and take a picture and post it on. Yeah, that'll be the Wi-Fi here.
You have to press
Yeah,
enter.
I can see the others.
No, it
Yeah,
should just,
it's
if you double click, then you get a box and
I've
then it
written
should
it,
just...
yeah.
Yeah, but I'm trying it on here to... I wanted to take a picture of you all and then put it on. But it's taken a while. But yeah, but then you see this, if this was a group of children, or yeah, teenagers, then these are the risks that you take when you use IT. So
Like the criteria.
yeah, and also this is the first time. If we were doing this every week or every couple,
They'll get faster.
then it gets faster and they get used to it, and that's the thing as well. But yeah, you're always going to be dependent on the internet and the applications.
Yeah.
There's one understand.
I think I'm behind somebody else.
Then you can move it.
You can move it.
How do you move it? Because I tried to move mine. Oh, there it is. There it's going now. There you
The other thing you can do, if you click on cog layout, you can choose grid, and then it's all nicely organised.
There you are.
You click on cog.
Yeah, where's
Cog at the
yeah,
bottom
the
on
cog,
the right.
yeah.
Click on layout. Third one from the top.
Yeah.
And click grid.
Yes.
Oh, very nice. See, I'm a bit more chaotic. I quite like the sort of. But this is good. Then everyone gets equal space.
Oh, I still don't think I'm there.
Are you reading the Dutch?
Wow, reading but not understanding.
Yeah.
But grid is in English.
Grid is English.
Yeah, but we get a lot. There's a lot of English words that are.
But the whole posts are displayed in the grid language.
Oh yeah, it's completely in English. Yeah, that's really strange, isn't it? Maybe they don't know how. That's quite funny. Okay, so basically this wall will be what I can do is save this and then I can send it to you if I get anything useful. Yeah. Shall we carry on because it's almost the end? Okay, so again, yeah, this is basically the end of my presentation. Are there any questions about what I've been talking about? Yeah?
How much of it do you think is transferable to older learners?
Yeah, I think. How old do you mean?
Over 60.
Over 60s?
Yeah.
Right, I probably wouldn't use Kahoot because yeah, because it depends if they've got mobile phones. Because if you do it with laptops and Kahoot, you've got to have the screen and then you only get the colours on the laptops, and so it depends how. Yeah, it's a difficult question, but definitely Google Docs and things like that. If they can use a computer. And definitely showing films and letting them write about what they've seen and those type of things, that you can do that with all levels. It depends on what film you're showing them and the activities, definitely something like, yeah, it's always gonna be the start of, you've got to work out if it's worth taking the risk.
But I think that's the point, it's risk assessment, because
Yeah.
over 60s you're going to have a very diverse group of people.
Yeah.
Some 60-pluses are actually quite technological,
Yeah.
and others have hardly touched at all, and it also depends where you are as well. If you're in the city, if you're in a smaller village or a town.
Yeah.
So I think a risk assessment, some form of pre-course questionnaire or something on what they know and what they can do with technology would be really.
Definitely, and also, would they be in? Would you see them physically? Would they be in? Then work out who are the strong ones and who are the weaker ones, and get the stronger ones to help. Yeah, that'll help as well. That's what I do with the students, because yeah, some of the students, everyone says, oh, young people are really tech savvy, but that's not the case. Yeah, some people don't have a very low frustration tolerance level, or have and they get really stressed really quickly, and then they give up. So yeah, so basically this is it. I would like some feedback on this presentation if you do have the chance. What I could do is I can either send you this PowerPoint if you send me an email. My email was on the beginning. Shall I go back to my email?
We'll leave it in the comments.
Is it in the book?
Yeah, I'll leave it in the comments. Yeah, of the.
Well, if you could read it out, that would be great for me.
Yeah, basically my email is McDonnell.
MCC.
MCD ONNELL. McDonnell, and then DEGRAAF, McDonnell-de Graaf, and that's a gmail.com. Okay, and I think that's it. So if you'd like to send me an email, then I can send you this PowerPoint. If there are people who like paper, because I am a paper lover as well, by the way. I've also got a few. I didn't bring that many, I only brought 10, but if there's people who would like one, then you can have that, and then all the information's on there as well. Thank you. Yeah. Okay, so that was my workshop. Thank you very much.